want to start out with just a little lesson on the size of crochet hook that I'm using. So this is the yarn that I'm choosing to use, and she suggests in her Groot pattern that you use a 4-ply worsted yarn in brown and green. So I am using what I have on hand. This happens to be a white with a little silver streak through it. Obviously, it's going to be a bit bigger than a 4-ply that she's talking about, because she's recommending a needle that is actually smaller than the one I have here. She's recommending a 2.5 millimeter, and I have a 2.75 millimeter on hand. You can see that the head of this needle is not really big enough to catch the size of my yarn. So I grabbed a couple of different sizes here. This one is a G, and I like how it catches that yarn in there. And my next one that I grabbed here is an H. It also catches the yarn nicely, but I think that the size of the head is going to be bigger than I want to crochet with. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull those aside. And then we're starting this Groot pattern with a magic circle. I'm going to do this slowly, but I like to do my magic circle starting with a paper clip, because it lets me know which end of my yarn I'm not going to be using. If I do this magic circle too quickly, I will put a link above so that you can watch my short video on a magic circle. The reason we start with a magic circle is because it makes the head close up really easily, or the foot, or whatever we're starting with. It makes a nice close on the bottom of your project. So you start by putting your paper clip in the palm of your hand, wrapping around 3 fingers with your yarn, and kind of grab it with your little pinky finger. Take your needle, insert it underneath and over that back piece of yarn, twist it towards you, drop everything, come back, pick up your yarn, and go ahead and make that first stitch right there. Now you can pull your circle a little bit tight, and we're going to crochet within this circle. And we want to crochet 6 within the circle. That's her first set of instructions. And so we have our first crochet stitch on our needle. We're going to go ahead, go inside the circle, and do 5 more. And then once we have done our 6, we're going to go ahead and close that up. It needs to be said that the smaller the yarn and the smaller the needle, the smaller your amigurumi will be when you're finished. So I will measure mine when we're done to kind of give you an idea using the size of yarn that I have. But if you love to crochet, I would use some of the links below and get a whole set of crochet hooks and various sizes of yarn. And that way you always have something on hand to do whatever project that you're wanting to do. So we've done our first round, which is 6 single crochets, and we're going to increase on our second round. We're going to double the amount of stitches. So the second round calls for 12 stitches, and what you're going to do is just slide in to your first stitch, and you're going to do 2 single crochets in that stitch. So there's 1 and 2, and you're going to just keep going. Going to go into that second stitch, do 2 more, 1 and 2. You're going to complete this pattern all the way around, which will give you 12 stitches when you end. I'm having a hard time getting through my stitch there. Sometimes if I crochet too tightly, it's hard to get back in that stitch. And so if you're just starting out, just work with yourself and be patient and just kind of try to get your stitches evenly loose all the way around, or evenly tight, depending on your style of crochet. But you do have to be able to get your hook through. Right, we're back around and you should have 12 stitches in your circle. And you can see I still have a little hole there and I could leave that, but for demonstration, I'm going to show you that I can also just close that up. That's the beauty of a magic circle, because you just pull on that paper clip end and it tightens your circle right up. You can see that I do have a looser stitch right here. And to be honest, I'm not going to worry about that. And I think this goes for any hobby that you have. Finished is better than perfect. So don't stress if you have one that looks a little bit out of sync with the others, because in the end, I promise you, you are not going to notice it. So in our third round, we're going to do back loop only. And you can use a stitch marker. I've got links to some in the description below. And you can just mark, slide your stitch marker in. It's probably going to look differently than mine. You can even use a piece of thread. So slide your stitch marker in, and we're going to pick up the back loop only. So you see that this stitch has two pieces to it. We're going to slide into that back loop only, and we're going to just crochet around. We'll end up with 12 stitches. It's just single crochet again, back loop only. Kind of pulls a little bit because you're only using one of the loops of your previous crochet stitch. What I like about this is that you're just seeing that leg form. We're starting with a leg. I probably didn't say that in the beginning, but you just see that leg start to form up. This would be the bottom of the leg. And the other thing I want to point out is that I took the time to roll my yarn into a ball. It makes it a lot easier to come off as I'm pulling it constantly to have more yarn available for my stitching. So we're on to round 4, and we're going to decrease on this round. So we're going to crochet 4 times, so single crochet 4, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets over the course of 1 crochet, and I'll show you how that goes. So first off, we're just single crocheting 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now over the next 2 crochets, 2 crochet stitches, we're going to go in the first one, grab our yarn, go in the second one, grab our yarn, and then pull through all 3. And that created 1 stitch out of 2. And we go ahead and crochet 4 more times. and we decrease again. So in, wrap, in the second one, wrap, come through all three. And then for round 5 and 6, we're just going to crochet around. Single crochet around. Very simple pattern. That's row 5, and you can see we're just continuing to build our leg up. I have had comments asking how you keep track of your rows. I simply take a pencil, especially if I'm doing 5 or 6 rows of the same stitch. I take a pencil and just put a slash mark on my paper and then cross them off as I go. It's not as hard though when you're only doing 2 rows in the same pattern. Or rather the same stitch. For round 7, we are doing the same as round 4. We're going to decrease it 2 times. But this time, instead of single crocheting 4 stitches, we're only going to single crochet in 3 stitches before we begin our decrease. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And remember, to decrease, we simply insert, wrap, go to the next stitch, insert, wrap, pull through all 3. I'm going to repeat that one more time. So 1, 2, and 3. And it is hard as you're working in a circle to work within these stitches. So just keep kind of pushing your work flat with your fingers and just be patient with yourself. It's definitely a learning process. Wrap, whoops, don't pull it through. Let's start that one again. We're on our decrease right now. So we're going to insert, wrap, insert in the next, wrap, pull through all 3. Now we're going to do 3 rounds of single crochet all the way around. And that will be the end of this leg. So we're just going to single crochet 3 rows up and make our leg longer. And it is much harder to crochet and video at the same time. So yours may look a little bit different when you don't have to work around a camera, but this is the completion of our first leg. So what I'll do is I'll grab some scissors, cut this long, and then just pull it through and tie it off. After this, I'm going to stop this video. You'll need to make a second leg, as will I. And what you want to make sure of is just that your legs are the same height and approximately the same thickness as the previous leg. And at that point, we'll have 2 legs and we'll be ready to come back and start on Groot's body.